Do you ever wake up on Saturday morning, stare at your coffee and think, I just need to get away for the weekend? Same here. And I'll tell you, there's nothing I love more than a weekend getaway. Lucky for us, Raleigh is in the perfect spot. Just a couple of hours, you can be sipping cocktails by the ocean, hiking through the mountain mist, exploring a charming small town, or kayaking on a lake so quiet, you'll swear you're the only person there. That totally sounds like my jam. So today, I'm giving you 10 incredible weekend getaways, all within 3 hours of Raleigh. And trust me, by the time you're done, you're gonna wanna pack a bag. I'm Gretchen Coley with the Coley Group, the Triangle's #1 Compass real estate team. And if you love all things real estate, Raleigh, and discovering hidden gems, hit that subscribe button because you don't want to miss what's coming next. All right, let's hit the road. Number 10, Wilmington and Wrightsville Beach. The coastal classic Wilmington is where history meets the coast. Whether you want to stroll through centuries-old streets, eat fresh seafood on the Riverwalk, or just kick back with your toes in the sand, Wilmington and Wrightsville Beach give you the best of both worlds. Now, downtown has this classic southern charm, while Wrightsville Beach has crystal clear water, great surf, and a perfect ocean breeze. This city has been around since 1739, and you can feel it with every brick and cobblestone that you step on. Wilmington was a major port city and a battleground in the Civil War, and a hotspot for Hollywood film crews. Shows like One Tree Hill and Dawson's Creek were filmed here, and you can even take a walking tour of famous locations. But Wilmington also has a darker history, ghost stories, pirate legends, and underground tunnels that tell many tales of the past, and those are fun walking tours. Now, Wilmington is one of the fastest growing coastal cities in the state, but the locals, they know the hidden gems, like Satellite Bar for live music, the Cargo District for cool food trucks and breweries, and the back roads that lead to a secret beach spot. Wrightsville Beach, just minutes away, is a little more polished with great restaurants, boat rentals, and some of the best paddleboarding spots in the state. And I love to paddleboard. If you're heading here for the weekend, pack for variety. Bring your bathing suit, but also your walking shoes for exploring downtown. And if you plan to hit the beach, rent a bike. Parking can be a pain, but biking around Wrightsville is a breeze. And if you want to live like a real local experience, catch the sunset at Dockside and grab brunch at Basics downtown. Number 9 is Pinehurst, where time slows down. Pinehurst, well, it just feels like it was designed for people who know how to enjoy life. Everything here is a little slower, more intentional, and packed full of southern charm. We call it hospitality. The streets are lined with historic cottages, oak trees that have stood for centuries, and golf courses so perfectly manicured they look like paintings. Even if you don't like golf, Pinehurst is one of the more peaceful, elegant places for a weekend retreat. The town was founded in 1895 by James Walker Tufts, Boston entrepreneur who wanted to create a health resort in the South. He built the town as a retreat, and over time, it became the cradle of American golf. Pinehurst #2, one of the most famous golf courses in the world, has hosted more championships than any other course in the country. Even if you're not into golf, just walking the grounds of the Carolina Hotel or sipping a cocktail on the veranda feels like stepping back in time. Pinehurst is where tradition meets tranquility, offering a perfect escape for both visitors and those who call it home. Now, tourists, they come for the legendary golf courses, historic hotels, and elegant spas, indulging in the town's southern charm. But for locals, Pinehurst is more than famous fairways. It's about early morning strolls along quiet tree-lined streets, long conversations over coffee at a favorite cafe, and back roads that lead to family-owned restaurants where everyone knows your name. There's no rushing here, and there's no need for flash, just a timeless, effortless kind of beauty that makes you want to stay a little while longer. If you're visiting, pack for comfort. You'll be golfing or exploring or enjoying the spa, but you'll be walking a lot, so bring great shoes. If you want to do it right, book a stay at the Carolina Hotel, schedule a spa day, and take your time exploring the village. And for dinner, You can't go wrong with Elliott's on Linden, a local favorite with incredible food. Number 8, Hanging Rock State Park, the wild escape. Some places remind you of how big the world is. Hanging Rock is one of them. Just 2 hours from Raleigh, this park is raw, rugged, and absolutely breathtaking. It's where you go when you want to feel small in the best way possible. Standing on the edge of Rock Cliff, looking over miles of rolling hills and endless sky, it'll make you feel tiny. Hanging Rock's history is written into its landscape. The cliffs, waterfalls, and deep forests were shaped over millions of years. Once part of an ancient mountain range, even older than the Rockies. This area was home to indigenous people for thousands of years before becoming a state park in 1936, preserving its beauty for generations to come. Now it's a hiker's paradise, drawing visitors eager to conquer the iconic Hanging Rock Trail, chase waterfalls and lower cascades, or paddle down the Dan River. But here's some local insight. The real magic is off the beaten path with hidden trails that wind through untouched forest, scenic picnic spots, and breathtaking views, and quiet corners where the only sounds are rustling leaves and distant birds singing. There's an energy here that feels almost sacred, a kind of solitude that clears your mind, reminds you of how vast and beautiful the world really is. And if you're heading here, you're gonna wanna bring layers because the weather changes fast in the mountains, and you'll wanna be prepared. Good hiking shoes are a must, and if you want the full experience, pack a hammock and find a quiet spot to soak up the views. Trust me, a picnic basket will make you not ever wanna leave. Number 7, New Bern, a waterfront town with a story to tell. New Bern doesn't just have history, it feels like history. The town is quiet in the best possible way, like it's been watching the world change for over 300 years and it just decided to stay its own way. Sitting on the banks of the Neuse and Trent Rivers, it's one of those places where time just slows down and every street has a story. Founded in 1710 by Swiss settlers, New Bern was North Carolina's second oldest town, and it was actually the state's first capital. It's also the birthplace of Pepsi. Fun fact, was created at a local pharmacy in 1893. But beyond the fun trivia, this town has seen wars, hurricanes, and the rise and fall of industries, yet it's still standing, proud, charming, and packed full of character. New Bern is where history meets small town charm, offering something for both curious visitors and longtime residents. Tourists explore Tryon Place, take guided ghost tours through centuries-old streets, and dine alongside the bustling waterfront. Meanwhile, locals start their mornings paddling the Neuse River at sunrise, where the only sounds are lapping water and distant church bells. Instead of the main tourist spots, they gravitate toward tucked-away cafes where the owner knows their order, and side streets lined with antique shops and independent bookstores. Evenings are spent at Union Park, stretched out on a picnic blanket as the sailboats drift by. It's a town that doesn't just preserve its past, it moves with it, blending history with everyday life in a way that feels both timeless and effortlessly inviting. If you're making a weekend out of it, pack for comfort. New Bern is a walking town, so bring good shoes, a camera for the gorgeous waterfront, and a light jacket if you're visiting in the cooler months. And if you want a real local experience, book a sunset cruise on the river, grab a drink at Persimmon's Waterfront Restaurant, and just let yourself slow down. Number 6, Asheville and the Blue Ridge Parkway, where the mountains meet art. Some places just feel like they have their own pulse, like the energy of the city is just part of the landscape, and Asheville is one of those places. Nestled in the Blue Ridge Mountains, this city is where art meets adventure and creativity meets nature. It's bold, it's a little weird, and it's completely unforgettable. Founded in the late 1700s, Asheville has always been a mountain retreat. In the early 1900s, George Vanderbilt built the famous Biltmore Estate, and the sense of luxury mixed with rugged mountain beauty has never left. Over the years, Asheville has been a haven for artists, musicians, and free spirits, and that culture still runs deep within its streets. Tourists come for the Blue Ridge Parkway, the historic Biltmore House, and the city's renowned craft beer scene, but locals love to move through Asheville with a different vibe, one that's unhurried, creative, and deeply connected to the city's soul. There's an openness here, a feeling that inspiration lingers in the mountain air. Whether you're wandering through a mural-covered alleys, stepping into a tucked-away jazz bar, or catching an impromptu street performance. It's not just a place to see, it's a place to experience, where every corner hums with artistry, individuality, and the kind of laid-back magic that makes you want to stay a little longer. So if you're heading to Asheville, dress for the unexpected. The weather can change really fast, so bring layers, a warm jacket if you're heading into the mountains, and something comfortable for exploring downtown. And if you want to feel like you truly did Asheville, rent a cabin, wake up in the mountain fog, and drive the Blue Ridge Parkway at sunrise or sunset. It is pure magic. Number 5, Beaufort and the Crystal Coast. The quiet nautical escape. Not all beach towns are about boardwalks and big crowds. Some are about quiet moments, salty breezes, sun-bleached docks that have been standing for generations, and Beaufort is one of those towns. Low-key historic, completely unbothered by the rush of the world, and it's one of my favorite places. We actually have a place in Atlantic Beach, which is really close to Beaufort, so I spend a lot of time here. Founded in 1709, Beaufort is North Carolina's 3rd oldest town and was once a major seaport, home to pirates, sailors, and merchants trading up and down the East Coast. Blackbeard's ship, the Queen Anne's Revenge, was found just offshore. But today, Beaufort has kept a nautical charm. But instead of pirates, you'll find fishermen heading out at dawn, kayakers paddling through the marshes, and people sipping coffee on porches that have been here for centuries. Tourists come for the wild horses on Shackleford Banks, the historic homes, and the waterfront restaurants that are serving up some of the freshest seafood in the state. But life in Beaufort moves at a different pace for those who know it well. There's an unspoken rhythm to the days, one that follows the tides rather than the clock. Conversations linger a little longer, and some of the best moments aren't scheduled, they just happen, like an unexpected chat with an old fisherman who docks in the quiet stillness of the water just before sunset. It's not a place that demands your attention, it's a place that invites you to slow down, breathe deep, and simply be. If you're planning a trip, pack light, but bring the essentials. Hat, sunglasses, sunscreen are a must because you'll be spending a lot of time outside. And if you really want to do Beaufort right, take the ferry to Carrot Island, watch the wild horses roam, and just let yourself breathe in the ocean air. You can also find tons of shells, sand dollars. It's the kind of experience that stays with you for a long time. You can even rent boats, go out to Cape Lookout, do Shackleford. There's all kinds of different adventures for you in Beaufort. Number 4, Charlotte, the urban escape. Sometimes you want a weekend that's fast-paced and full of energy and packed with things to do, then you will want to head to Charlotte. It's the largest city in North Carolina, and it feels like it. Big, modern, and always moving. Whether you're into sports, food, shopping, nightlife, this city delivers all of them. Charlotte's history is tied to gold, banking, and racing. In the 1700s, the first gold rush in America started right here in Charlotte. Later, it became the banking capital of the South, and today it's home to some of the biggest financial companies in the country. Think Bank of America, Wells Fargo. And if you're into NASCAR, well, this is the place to be. Charlotte Motor Speedway and the NASCAR Hall of Fame are must-sees. Now, tourists, they chase the energy of Charlotte, dining at high-end restaurants, sipping cocktails on rooftop bars, and hopping between South End's buzzing craft breweries. But locals know the best skyline view isn't from a crowded rooftop, it's from the terrace at Fearrington, or the quiet trails at Bern Park as the city lights flicker on. They skip the brunch lines in favor of a cozy morning at Roots Cafe or a soul food spread at Lee and Louise. And when they need a break from the city's pace, they head to the U.S. National Whitewater Center. Not just for rafting, but for evening concerts, trail runs, and hammocks strung up by the river where Charlotte's rush feels miles away. Now, if you're visiting Charlotte, pack for variety. You'll want something stylish for a night out, but comfortable shoes for exploring the city. And don't leave without catching a Hornets game, walking the light rail at South End, or grabbing dinner at Haberdish for some of the best chicken you will ever eat. Number 3, Bowling Rock and Boone, the cozy mountain retreat. If you want mountains, small town charm, and that crisp, clear mountain air, Bowling Rock and Boone are a perfect weekend getaway. These two towns are neighbors, but they each have their own personality. So Boone has an adventurous college town energy, while Bowling Rock is quaint, quiet, and cozy, straight out of a Hallmark movie. This area has been drawing visitors for over a century. The famous Bowling Rock itself is tied to an old legend where a Cherokee warrior and a Chickasaw maiden fell in love, and when he leapt from the cliff, the wind carried him back to her. And Boone, named after Daniel Boone, it's always been a place for explorers and pioneers. Tourists love driving through the Blue Ridge Parkway, marveling at Grandfather Mountain, and taking a nostalgic ride on the Tweetsie Railroad. Yes, that is a real thing. Locals escape to the lesser-known spots, hiking Rough Ridge at sunrise before the crowds, chasing waterfalls along the Glen Burnie Trail, or sipping coffee by the fireplace at Bald Guy Brew as the morning fogs weaves through the hills. And when winter arrives, they head to Sugar or Beech Mountain for fresh powder that gets blown all winter and quieter slopes, making the most of the ski season in their backyard. If you're coming up here, dress for the weather. It's always cooler in the mountains, so layer up. Bring your hiking boots if you want to explore, and if you're staying overnight, find a cabin with a hot tub. Nothing beats soaking under the stars after a long day in the fresh air. Number 2, Lake Gaston, the ultimate lake getaway. Not in the mood for the mountains or the beach? Well, you can try the lake. Lake Gaston is just an hour and a half from Raleigh, and it's one of the best kept secrets for laid-back, relaxing weekend on the water. This lake stretches across North Carolina and Virginia, and it was actually created in the 1960s as a hydroelectric reservoir. But now, it's one of the best places in the state for boating, fishing, and lakefront living. Lots of our friends have second homes at the lake. It's deep, clean, and surrounded by quiet little communities where life moves a little slower. Tourists come for action boating, tubing, and renting lake houses for the summer escape. But locals like Lake Gaston because it's all about quiet moments just as much as adventure. They're out at dawn fishing at Pea Hill Creek before the first wakeboarders hit the water, or cruising out towards Eaton Ferry Bridge for the best sunset views. Instead of packed restaurants, they pull up to the point by boat, grabbing a burger and a cold drink with their toes still wet. And for those of you who never want to leave, lakefront homes here aren't just a getaway, they're a way of life, with porches made for watching the water and weekends that never feel rushed. And I'm going to tell you, it's pontoon boat heaven. People on Gaston Lake like to make a day of it. So if you're heading to Gaston Lake, bring your water gear, swimsuits, sunglasses, and even a wakeboard if you're feeling adventurous. And if you really want to do it like a local, then rent a boat, pack a cooler, and spend the day just floating. That's the greatness about Lake Gaston, and it's something you'll have to experience. Number 1 is Fearrington Village, the hidden luxury escape that it makes number 1 on our list because it's the unexpected getaway. It's just 35 minutes from Raleigh, and this is a place where you'll feel like you've been transported to an English countryside. It's elegant, peaceful, and perfect for a romantic weekend or just a quiet retreat from the world. Fearrington started as a dairy farm in the 1700s, but over time it's become a luxury destination. The Fearrington House Inn is one of the top-rated hotels in the South, and its restaurant has won national awards for its farm-to-table dining. Tourists come for the dining and the spa and perfectly manicured gardens drawn to Fearrington's effortless elegance. But beyond the grand estate, it's a place where time slows down in the best way possible. Afternoons are spent flipping through books at McIntyre's Books, a cozy bookshop that feels straight out of a story itself, or savoring a moment at the Belted Goat with a glass of wine and a pastry, and I'll tell you, their grilled cheese sandwiches are out of this world. Whether it's a milestone dinner at Fearrington House or just a spontaneous visit to the farmer's market, this village has a way of making every visitor feel like it's the best well-kept secret in all of the Triangle. If you're planning a visit, pack something nice. This is a place where you'll want to dress up a little, book a room at the inn if you can, and if nothing else, make a reservation for dinner, stroll through the gardens, and just enjoy the slower pace of life. So, Where's your next getaway? I want to hear from you, so drop in the comments which of these have you been to or do you want to go to? Now, are you craving the energy of the city or the quiet mountains or the peace of the water? Maybe you just need a weekend where life slows down a little bit. And whatever you're looking for, it's right here, just a short drive from Raleigh. And the best part of living here is you're never stuck. You're never far away from an adventure, which is why most people love it here. Whether it's a weekend or the next big chapter of your life, you're going to love Raleigh. So if you're thinking, I could see myself living here, let's make it happen. We've got a relocation guide that breaks down everything you need to know about moving to Raleigh, and an added plus is a 5-minute neighborhood match survey that can help you find the perfect place for your lifestyle. So click the links below and check them out. And if you're ready to start the conversation, reach out. I'd love to help you. Now, if you like what you heard in this video, hit that subscribe button because we're just getting started, and we'll see you in Raleigh.